Discover the incredible life-changing strategies Ukraine unleashed to expose Russia's hidden fears, in the small town of Maplewood, where the warm glow of street lamps flickered against the backdrop of fading dreams. Sam Johnson stood in front of his diner, Sam's Kitchen. He had fought for his country, but now he fought to keep his family's legacy alive. The diner had once been a bustling hub filled with laughter and the aroma of home-cooked meals, but as a new fast food chain opened its doors across the street, the heart of his beloved Maplewood felt like it was breaking. With the enticing promise of quick meals and rock-bottom prices, the fast food chain loomed over the diner like a dark cloud, ready to snuff out the last flickers of hope. Sam's chest tightened at the thought. Regular customers had become ghosts, the laughter fading into silence. Families who once gathered for Sunday brunch now faced eviction notices, crushed by rising rents and local policies that favored corporate giants over the very fabric of their community. Maplewood felt like a ship lost at sea, and he was its captain, determined to steer it back to shore. A flicker of hope ignited within him. Sam called a meeting in the diner, inviting everyone who cared about their town. As dusk settled in, the air was thick with uncertainty but also a potent mix of urgency and camaraderie. When the townsfolk trickled in, their faces reflected worry and skepticism. Sam could sense the doubt in the room. Could they really overcome the pull of cheap fast food? He remembered the clink of silverware, the shared laughter over pancakes, and the way they all supported one another during tough times. He had to remind them what they were capable of. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sam's voice carried through the small diner, an echo of kindness wrapped in the warmth of shared memories. He spoke of unity, of standing together against the corporate tide that threatened to wash away their town. Some nodded, others whispered doubts, but deep down, Sam knew that every word mattered. Days passed, and tensions rose. He confronted the fast food chain's corporate manager, a slick businessman whose cold smile chilled Sam to the bone. The manager dismissed Sam's concerns, brushing off the struggles of the townsfolk like dust on his shoulder. Sam's heart raced as he felt the weight of his town's struggles bearing down on him. To fight for them felt like swimming against a relentless current, but he couldn't abandon ship. Each night, he stayed up late, gathering evidence of the chain's manipulations and tactics, knowing the odds were stacked against him. Just when it seemed like he was gaining momentum, his heart sank at an eviction notice served to one of his closest friends. The stakes were rising, and Sam could feel the pulse of Maplewood thrumming in his veins. Standing outside Sam's kitchen, with the fading sun casting long shadows, Sam felt a mixture of hope and desperation. Would they rally behind him, or would fear keep them divided? As the night settled in, an anxious silence enveloped the diner, leaving the question lingering: could this simple man truly change the fate of his town? As the next day dawned, a chilling breeze rattled the dusty windows of Sam's kitchen. Sam arrived early, drawn to the diner like a moth to a flame. The coffee brewed, filling the air with its familiar, comforting scent. He busied himself setting the tables, trying to shake off the anxiety swirling in his chest. This wasn't just about fried eggs and pancakes anymore. This was about standing against an empire built on quick profits and empty promises. While wiping down the counter, his eyes landed on a faded photograph of his father, apron-clad, standing proudly in front of the diner. Memories surged: weekends filled with laughter, patrons who became family, the sweet hum of community. Sam's chest tightened, his father's spirit urging him to fight for their legacy. He needed his community more than ever. Word spread quickly around Maplewood about the eviction notice. Sam had barely opened the diner when a group of locals gathered outside, their expressions a mix of concern and anger. Among them were old friends, mothers cradling babies, and teenagers who once flipped burgers alongside him. Each face told a story of heartache, but also resilience. Sam called out Maria, a single mother who worked 2 jobs but always made time for the diner. "What are we going to do?" Her voice trembled, and Sam knew he wasn't just facing his own fears, he was carrying the weight of everyone who had called this place home. "We fight for our town," Sam replied, the fire in his belly igniting. "We show them what Maplewood means, what it truly stands for." His words hung in the air, and for a moment, hope flickered in their eyes. They leaned in, ready to listen. Sam quickly sketched a plan: a rally at the town square, inviting people to share their stories, to show the world what they had to lose. Together, they could speak out against the chain. Each vanished smile etched deep in their hearts could become a rallying cry. As they brainstormed and shared ideas, Sam felt a buzz of energy course through the crowd. They would spread the word through social media, create posters, and reach out to the local newspaper. One brave voice after another emerged, echoing his resolve. It was no longer about one diner, this was about their way of life, but just then, as they were finding strength in each other, Sam spotted the fast food chain's manager across the street, arms crossed, a smug grin spreading across his face. The sight twisted his gut. That man represented everything they were fighting against, but instead of bowing to fear, Sam felt a surge of determination. With a quick nod to his friends, he said, "Let us show them they can't just walk in and take away what we've built. This town is worth fighting for." Suddenly, an excited cry went up as news spread that the local high school students wanted to join their rally. Sam felt his heart swell. It wouldn't just be the usual crowd. Young voices added a spark, they had their own stories, their own hopes. Maplewood was alive again, pulsing with fresh energy and determination. As day turned into dusk, the community gathered around Sam, laughter mingling with nervous chatter. There was uncertainty, yes, but there was also a palpable excitement in the air. Sam glanced at the familiar faces and felt a newfound unity envelop them, but just as the first stars began twinkling in the night sky, doubt crept back into Sam's mind. What if they failed? What if the world didn't care about their little town? As he looked around, he saw the flickering hope reflected in everyone's eyes. He knew the battle was just beginning. With that thought, he closed the diner, ready to embrace whatever came next. Could they really rally the spirit of Maplewood? Would they attract the support they needed to fight back? Only time would tell, but he wouldn't face it alone. The stakes had never been higher, and the fight had only just begun. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over Maplewood, Sam felt an electric thrill course through the group gathered outside the diner. They buzzed with ideas and plans, ready to unite against the looming threat ahead. Each face reflected the collective hope of a community on the brink of change. Sam could feel the determination radiating from them, like heat from a furnace, stoking his own resolve. "Okay, everyone. Listen up," he called, raising a hand to silence the chatter. "Let us make this rally unforgettable. We need everyone, friends, families, even those who don't usually come around. Let us show the outside world just how much Maplewood matters. We're more than a diner, we're family. We've got roots here." The crowd erupted with shouts of agreement, each voice louder and more passionate than the last. In that moment, Sam didn't just see a group of locals, he saw a movement. A wave of belonging, a bond of resilience wrapped around the square as they stood shoulder to shoulder. Maria stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with purpose. "I can talk to the school board. We can get the students to help out. They've got social media connections that extend far beyond Maplewood." Inspired, the group nodded enthusiastically, and volunteers began to step forward, each offering a piece of their strength. Sam felt a lump form in his throat. A sense of community that had been cultivated over the years was now blossoming into action, a powerful force against the corporate giant threatening their lives. They brainstormed tirelessly, making lists of speakers, gathering stories of hope and struggle, all intending to remind the world what was at stake. Here were the memories tied to this place, the first birthday celebrated, the engagements announced, the friendships forged. Each narrative mattered. Suddenly, from the back, a voice piped up, "What if we baked? We could sell homemade goodies and donate the profits to help with our fight. A smile spread across Sam's face as he glanced towards the person who spoke, a shy teenager, Clara, who had worked with him part-time during summer breaks. This was the fire he hoped for. Yes. Let us do it. Everyone loves a good pie or cookie. With new ideas flowing, they formed groups: cookers, decorators, social media organizers. The excitement was contagious, and soon laughter mixed with determination as they mapped out their strategy. Sam was swept up in the energy of the moment, feeling lighter despite the heavy burden they were carrying, yet, as the night deepened, a disquiet settled within him. Doubts whispered in the back of his mind. What if it wasn't he enough? They were facing an established corporation with relentless resources behind them. What if they tried and failed? What if all this effort crumbled like the pastries they planned to bake? Sam, hey, Maria said, suddenly standing next to him, concern etched on her face. She must have sensed his turmoil. You okay? He swallowed hard, forcing a smile to mask his fears. Yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking about the next steps and how we connect with more people. Her steady gaze bore into him, as if she could peel back the layers of uncertainty. Just remember, we're in this together. We won't let you down. He nodded, gratitude swelling within him. Sam allowed himself a moment of clarity. This wasn't only his fight, it was theirs. They were creating something greater. As the group began to disperse, Sam felt exhilarated yet anxious. He took one last look at the diner, its neon sign flickering defiantly against the night. But a sudden thought struck him: what if they needed more than just words and goodwill? What if they needed a plan that would reach even farther? A way to ensure their voices echoed beyond Maplewood. Turning on his heels, he gathered everyone once more, ready to harness the power that flowed through them. Listen up. We're going to make our fight visible. We will reach not just Maplewood but the whole state. The crowd cheered, their spirits ignited once more, and Sam felt the weight of hope and determination pull him forward. Could they rally the support they so desperately needed? Would the fight for the heart of Maplewood truly unite them all? With a heart racing with purpose, Sam realized that the journey ahead would determine not just their survival, but the legacy they would carve into the future. The next chapter awaited, and he was ready to embrace it. What surprises lay ahead? Would they find the strength and unity to change the tide? As dawn broke over Maplewood, casting a silvery light over the streets, Sam rose with renewed determination. Today was the day they would start making their voices heard, and he knew they needed to hit the ground running. The sun shone brightly, and for a moment, a feeling of hope settled over him, chasing away the lingering doubts that he grabbed a cup of coffee and headed out. The diner already bustled with activity. The smell of freshly baked pastries wafted in the air, mixing with the sound of laughter and chatters from the locals gathered around. Clara was busy behind the counter, her apron dusted with flour as she animatedly discussed recipes with Mrs. Hayes. The sight warmed Sam's heart. This was at the heart of community he cherished so deeply. Are you ready for today? Maria's voice pulled him back from his thoughts. She stood by the door, hands on her hips with a smile that could light up the day. Ready as I'll ever be, he responded, determination creeping into his voice. Let us make it count. They surrounded the old oak table where ideas and dreams were scrawled across scraps of paper. A poster board lay waiting to be decorated, filled with sketches for slogans and hopes. Maplewood prevails. And we are family. The energy around them was palpable, each person pitching in, eager to create something meaningful. They gathered groups like tiny neighborhoods, each tackling a different aspect: social media, decorations, food, and, of course, outreach. Can you help with the social media campaign? Maria asked, tossing her phone in Sam's direction. The school released a schedule today. We can capture attention by cleverly tagging our posts. Sam nodded and started typing, alongside Clara, who seemed thrilled to be involved. They shared memories of Maplewood, its landscape, and its people, posting them to spark interest beyond their quiet town. As they worked, Sam felt the thrill of the collective mission. It flowed through him like a river, invigorating him more than coffee ever could. Hours passed, and as the group prepared for the rally, the sky turned a brilliant blue, the warmth of the sun a promise of something new. Sam stood back for a moment and admired what they had built together. It felt monumental, something little towns like Maplewood rarely achieved. The rally was set to begin, and the crowd gathered, buzzing with excitement. More faces were showing up, neighbors, parents, even the skeptical ones who usually kept to themselves. As they set up the makeshift stage, Sam's pulse quickened. Would they reach the hearts and minds of the outsiders watching through cameras and screens? "We're not just standing up for ourselves," Clara announced into the microphone, her voice shaking at first but growing stronger. "We're standing up for every small town, every family, every place that matters." Cheers erupted from the crowd, voices vibrating with energy, reverberating through Sam as he joined in. A wave of pride coursed through him. This was powerful. They weren't just fighting a corporation, they were shouting their love for Maplewood, echoing their commitment to each other. But just as momentum built, Sam's heart sank slightly. He glanced down the road, where a line of heavy trucks came into view. Were they too late? Would their efforts be enough? Before he could spiral back into doubt, the familiar sound of clear voices grounded him. "We can do this!" Maria shouted as they rallied around him. Together. Sam felt weightless, as if surrounded by their chants of hope and resolve. They began making plans not just for today, but for what lay ahead. A petition, a series of meetings, a campaign that couldn't be ignored. But were they ready for the backlash? As the trucks approached, Sam took a deep breath, clutching the microphone tightly. "Let them come," he whispered to himself. "Let them see what we can do." But as he looked out at the crowd, one thought lingered: could their passion hold strong against the forces that threatened not just their diner but their way of life? His heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear. Could they protect their legacy? And so, with all eyes on him, he prepared to deliver a rallying call that might just change everything. But would it be enough? The moment of truth was here, and the fight for Maplewood was only beginning. The trucks rolled closer, their engines roaring like thunder, drowning out the cheers of the crowd. Sam felt the air shift. The hope that had buoyed him began to tangle with doubts. He looked down at the microphone. Would his words hold the weight of their dreams? Would they echo like the spirits of their ancestors, or would they fall flat in the face of looming danger? "Maplewood!" he shouted, voice steadying despite his racing heart. The crowd reacted, eyes wide with anticipation. "This isn't just about our diner, this is about holding on to what we love, what makes us who we are." Cheers erupted again, but they were punctuated by the churning gears of the trucks arriving. Each rumble felt like an impending storm, and he could see the workers unloading, men in hard hats, their faces serious, as if they carried the weight of a corporate empire on their shoulders. They weren't just here to build, they were here to impose their will. "Stay strong," Maria urged, her eyes fierce, connecting with Sam's gaze. "Remember why we're here." The crowd shifted, people's faces revealing a mix of determination and fear. Around him, he sensed the bond forming, threads weaving together in a tapestry of resistance. They held signs aloft, the written words plucked from their dreams and fears, words that turned into shields, deflecting the shadows advancing down Main Street. Clara, standing next to the makeshift stage, took a deep breath before speaking again. "This is Maplewood. We won't let anyone silence us." Her voice broke through the tension, unleashing cheers like fireworks into the air. But then, a hush swept across the crowd as the lead truck slowly rolled to a stop. The driver emerged, adjusting his cap, surveying the scene with unreadable eyes. Anxiety rippled through the crowd. Sam felt it in the air, a collective breath held tight in their chests. "Let us show them who we are," Sam shouted, rallying himself, drawing on the energy around him. "This is our moment. Maplewood isn't just a dot on the map. We are people, not symbols. We're families, friends, roots in this soil." The crowd surged forward, fists pumping in the air, voices rising. The men with hard hats exchanged glances, confusion etched on their faces as they seemed unprepared for the wave of community they de-sparked. Encounters were escalating, their machinery versus their hearts. Suddenly, an older man stepped forward from the crowd, bringing a sense of calm amid the chaos. He held up a weathered photograph. "This is Maplewood in its glory," he called out. "My father stood for this town, and so will I." The crowd echoed his sentiments, memories of a simpler time cascading through them. Sam watched as people shared stories and hugged, weaving a fabric of history that surrounded them like a warm blanket, but as the moment of unity reached its zenith, the driver of the lead truck broke the silence. "You think you can stop progress?" he scoffed, crossing his arms defiantly. There was a chill in his voice, and it cut through Sam's elation like a knife. "What do you know about progress?" Sam shot back, heart racing. "This isn't progress for us, this is a threat to our way of life." The crowd murmured, a shift in their energy igniting as pride filled their hearts. Each person could feel the power of their voices, joining to challenge the intruders. But then Sam saw something in the driver's eyes, a flicker of uncertainty, maybe even guilt. Could he persuade them to reconsider their mission? Sam swallowed hard. It was now or never. Taking a deep breath, he stepped closer, letting the noise of the crowd fade into the background. "What if we work together?" he offered, hope blooming in his chest. "What if you helped us protect our home instead?" The air froze, the crowd watching intently. Could they forge a new path that included everyone? And as all eyes turned to the driver, awaiting his reply, Sam's heart pounded with the weight of anticipation. Would this be the moment that changed everything, or merely the start of a bitter struggle? The silence wrapped around them like a thick fog. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the driver's response. His gaze flickered between the crowd and the photo still clutched in the old man's hands. For a moment, it seemed the weight of their pleas hung in the air, waiting to see if it would land. "What do you mean, protect your home?" the driver finally asked, a hint of incredulity in his tone. His arms slowly uncrossed, as if curiosity had begun to replace defiance. Sam could feel the crowd leaning in, hope igniting within the gathered throng. "We have a rich history here," Sam urged, stepping forward. "Maplewood isn't just some piece of land for development. It's our roots. The diner you want to demolish? It's where families gather, dreams are shared, and traditions live on. You could be a part of that." A young worker from the crew shifted, glancing at his companions, a flicker of compassion in his eyes. Could they really find common ground? The driver rubbed the back of his neck, a crack appearing in his tough exterior. "I'm just doing my job." "Then let us find a way for your job to support our community," Sam pressed, heart racing faster than ever. What if this project could help bring new life, without tearing apart what already exists? We could create something that honors our town and brings in real progress. From the back of the crowd, Clara shouted, "We're willing to work with you. Let us brainstorm ideas together." Encouraged, others echoed her hope, voices mingling like a choir, lifting the spirits around them, but doubts still lingered. A murmured conversation danced through the crowd. Would they actually trust these workers to collaborate? Or was it a futile attempt that would lead to deeper disappointment? The driver looked around, a mixture of surprise and cautious contemplation settling over him. "And what do you want in return?" he asked, his tone softening slightly. Sam felt a jolt of excitement. This was the door they needed. "We want to ensure our values are respected. You can keep the integrity of this town while still bringing jobs and development. That could be progress for everyone." The tension in the air shifted, a spark of possibility igniting within the crowd. Hope began to rise in the faces around him, but Sam knew it was fragile. One misstep could send it crumbling. Suddenly, Maria stepped forward, her voice clear and unwavering. "We believe there's strength in community. Everyone can win if we put our heads together. This isn't just about fighting, it's about dreaming together." The crowd erupted in agreement, their voices melding into a powerful wave of determination. But the driver still stood there, processing the weight of their words amidst the growing enthusiasm around him. "Okay," he finally said, a hesitant tremor in his voice. "Let us talk, but we have to be realistic about what can be done. This is all a business decision." Cheers erupted again, but Sam could feel the threads of caution hanging in the air. "Business should be a vehicle for growth," he ventured gently, "but it shouldn't come at the cost of people's hearts." A pause enveloped the scene. Sam's heart thudded with the gravity of the moment. Had they truly found a bridge to cross over, or was this merely an illusion shining like a mirage? As they began to exchange ideas, Sam remained aware of the weight that still lingered, a potential deal looming, but so too was the dread of miscommunication and broken trust. Could they build a future that honored both sides? As discussions began, Sam's mind raced with the possibilities, and for the first time that day, he cautiously felt that maybe they were on the brink of something extraordinary. But just as hope began to shimmer, a sound echoed from afar. The roar of a larger truck rolled up behind them, sending a ripple of unease through the crowd again. What was this new development? As the new arrival cast a long shadow over their fragile alliance, Sam could only wonder, was this the breakthrough they had desperately sought, or a storm that would threaten to unravel everything? The heavy rumble of the approaching truck seemed to drown out the optimism that just moments before had filled the air. Sam turned slowly, his heart quickening as he spotted the massive vehicle rolling toward them. It wasn't just any truck, it was emblazoned with the name of the construction company, the very ones who had come to flatten Maplewood. A creeping dread washed over him. Voices from the crowd began to murmur anxiously, as if they sensed the tempest ready to descend upon their hard-won moment of unity. The driver, still standing in front of Sam, shifted uneasily, his confident demeanor faltering, the weight of the situation shifting yet again. "Who is that?" Clara whispered, her voice edged with concern. Sam squinted, trying to make sense of what was happening. The truck rolled to a stop, and the engine cut off, leaving an eerie quiet in its wake. A moment later, the back doors swung open, and 3 men in crisp company uniforms climbed out, surveying the gathering. Their expressions were unreadable, a mix of authority and indifference that sent a chill running through the crowd. "Looks like they brought reinforcements," Sam muttered, taking a step back. The driver beside him chuckled bitterly. "Reinforcements or enforcers? Depends on your perspective." "Let us not lose hope," Sam urged, his voice strong. "We've come this far. Let us keep this going." But even he felt the tension snap in the air. A man with slick back hair and a clipboard stepped to the forefront of the newcomers, his posture exuding a corporate arrogance. "What's happening here?" His tone dripped with condescension. "Why are you causing a scene?" "This is our home," Sam replied, stepping forward despite the sinking feeling in his stomach. "We're trying to find a way home." The man interrupted, his laughter cutting through Sam's words like a blade. "This is just land. We're here to make an investment. You can't stop progress." With those words, the crowd rippled with anger and confusion. "But it's more than that," Sam shouted, his voice rising. "This town is a living story. You can't just bulldoze it for profit." The driver beside him stepped forward, surprising everyone. "Listen, maybe you should hear them out. They're trying to keep their community alive. That's worth something too." The corporate man's eyes flitted to the driver, and an annoyed frown crossed his face. "That's not how business works. We have timelines to meet." Another murmur spread through the crowd. Sam knew that this was the moment, the pivotal crossroad they'd been dancing around. Timelines? Jobs? Maria chimed in, her voice raising the spirit of those gathered. "What about memories? What about families? Jobs don't mean much if there's no sense of belonging." The tension thickened, and Sam's pulse raced. He wanted to lash out, shout louder, but he needed to stay calm, to focus the group. "Let us sit down," he proposed, half to the crowd, half to the slick-haired man. "Let us negotiate. We can find a way that respects both sides. Isn't that worth considering?" A moment hung heavy in the air. Sam could sense the bubbling energy of the collective desire to fight back and be heard. But was it enough to sway them? Honestly, it's not just about the business, the driver said. We have lives too. I've seen what happens when communities get bulldozed. There's nothing left but loss. Sam could feel the crowd shifting, understanding dawning on a few faces around him. For the first time, the corporate man shifted his stance, uncertainty flickering across his features, but just as anticipation built, a loud crash erupted from the direction of the truck, a sudden and violent interruption. Eyes darted in shock, hearts racing again, with a growing trepidation, they all turned toward the commotion. What had just happened? Would they be thrown back into chaos, or would this unexpected turn lead to an even deeper reckoning? As Sam stood there, bracing for the aftermath, one thought filled his mind: they had to hold on, whatever came next. The crowd erupted into a frenzy, a chorus of gasps and shoutbacks clashing against the stillness. Sam turned as the commotion escalated. A haphazard pile of construction supplies and tools rolled from the truck, spilling onto the ground like chaos unleashed. Everyone, stay calm. Sam shouted over the noise, desperately trying to regain control. We need to focus. We can't let this break our spirit. But the initial wave of fear had already taken hold, transforming into anger. A few townsfolk began to argue with one another. Clara's eyes darted between the men in uniform and the chaos unfolding. This isn't good, Sam. This is just what they want to divide us. He felt the weight of her words. Were they truly standing on the edge of a precipice? Suddenly, the slick-haired man took a step forward, more confident now, fueled by the frenzy. See? This is precisely the kind of disorder that makes our case, he pointedly addressed the crowd. You don't know how to handle change. You will make this easy for us. A surge of defiance swept through Sam. He stepped forward again, heart pounding, eyes locked on the corporate man. We can handle change, but not like this. Don't let fear dictate our future. With the pile of supplies in disarray, one of the men in uniform picked up a hammer. Let us just get this over with, he muttered, as if more interested in a quick task than the tumult around them. The sight of that hammer brought a wave of harsh reality crashing down on everyone. It represented more than just tools, it embodied the belief that their lives, their histories, could be swept away in one fell swoop. Maria pushed through the crowd. This is our chance to show united strength, not fragmentation. Let us gather together. We drew a line before, and we can do it again. With renewed resolve, Sam felt the energy shift. He turned to his neighbors. What if we use this moment? If they think we're fragmented, let us show them we're not. Gather around, hold hands, stand strong. He felt hearts beginning to stir in the crowd again. Slowly at first, but then, they began to close the space between one another, forming a tight knot of support. Clara held Sam's hand, squeezing it tightly. Look at us, Clara whispered, tears beginning to glisten in her eyes. Look at what we can do together. They underestimate us. The three men looked uneasy, glancing at one another as the united front solidified before them. Sam raised his voice again, feeding off the spirit. You can bulldoze our land, but you will never bulldoze our spirit. This town is made of love and strength, and we will not let you strip that from us. We stand together today. A chorus of shouts and affirmations erupted, echoing through Maplewood. For a moment, it felt as if the very ground beneath them affirmed their commitment, vibrating with the resonance of their unified hearts, but their defiance had drawn a response. The slick-haired man's face twisted into a mask of anger. You will regret this. We have authority, and will use it. Sam's heart sank, realizing that they were facing a wall of bureaucracy that wouldn't easily bend. Yet he breathed deep, steeling himself against the overwhelming tide of uncertainty, gripping Clara's hand tighter. They had united, but what would be the consequence? Would their collective resolve be enough? The tension crackled through the air. Just then, Sam caught sight of something behind the truck. A figure stood quietly, watching. A woman with a familiar face. A face he thought he'd never see again. Diane? He whispered in disbelief. Did she return to help, or was she a part of the looming threat? Questions flooded his mind. What did her presence mean, and would it sway the tides that were rising against them? Sam's heart raced as he caught sight of Diane. Memories flooded him, laughter shared under the sun, dreams whispered at night. But this time, all he felt was confusion. Why was she here now, in the middle of this storm? The crowd had quieted, their anger now shifting to shock. Eyes turned toward her, murmurs skating through the air. Diane was a ghost of their past, someone who had left when the town needed her most. Sam felt Clara's grip tighten on his hand, making him aware that their resolve was hanging by a thread. Sam! Diane called, making her way through the sea of anxious faces. She looked the same yet different, her expressions weighed down by what must have been a whirlwind of experiences. I came as soon as I heard. I couldn't stay away, not now. What do you mean? Sam's voice trembled as he struggled to balance the flood of emotions within him. Was she really here to help, or to stir even more trouble? Things have changed. I have connections, she insisted, the urgency in her voice cutting through the chatter. They aren't just anything, they're everything. This project they're trying to push through. It's bigger than you think. A feeling of unease crept in. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. So you're saying you're here to help? Or what? Are you working for them? No. Diane stepped closer, desperation glinting in her eyes. You have to trust me. I couldn't fight back then, but I can fight for you now. I know what strategies they're using to divide us. We can expose them. Her words hung in the air, ripe with possibility yet shrouded in doubt. Sam glanced at Clara, whose gaze mirrored his own skepticism. The slick-haired man behind them watched intently, a predator waiting for the right moment to pounce. Diane continued, addressing the crowd, Maplewood can't afford to be divided. You need to know the truth. I can show you how to fight back, how to turn their game against them. If you want to stand against this, you have to be united and informed. But what do you really know? Sam asked, feeling a swell of protective instinct rise to the forefront. How do we know you're on our side now? I lost everything to their ambitions too, Sam, she replied, her voice shaking. I realize that staying silent only plays into their hands. We're all a part of this fight together. The crowd shifted. Sam could see them weighing her words, the flicker of determination igniting something in them again. He could feel the tension shifting, wrapping around them like a thick fog, aching for clarity. Let us hear her out. Maria shouted, her voice powerful and clear. If there's a way to win, we have to explore it. We owe it to ourselves and this town. Diane took a step forward, grounding herself at the edge of their circle. Together, we can dig up their secrets. We just need a plan. Trust each other and fight for what we love. A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Eyes shifted nervously between Diane, Sam, and Clara. There was uncertainty in the air, but also something else, an ember of hope. Sam felt the weight of his decision, the pulsation of possibility. Yet the question remained, could they really trust Diane? Was this the guide they needed to navigate the storm, or was it another wave that would crash over them? He glanced at Clara, who nodded, willing to take another chance. Let us hear her, she whispered, her voice barely audible but filled with assurance. Sam took a deep breath, feeling every heartbeat echo the resolve of the crowd around him. All right, Diane. We'll listen. But know this, whatever this plan is, we're not just putting our future in your hands. We're all in this together. As the crowd shifted to face Diane, anticipation hung thick in the air. Would their fragile alliance hold, and what revelations awaited them? The moment hung suspended, an unspoken bond forming. With the ground shaking beneath them, Sam could feel the power of hope rising like dawn breaking through the darkest night. But in the pit of his stomach, he knew the truth loomed in the shadows, and with it, consequences they might not be ready for. What would? they uncover, and could unity protect them from what was about to come? The town of Maplewood awoke to a quiet morning, a stillness settling in like a soft blanket. It felt heavy with anticipation as Sam Johnson stood before his diner, Sam's Kitchen. The promise of change crackled in the air. Today was the day. They were ready to confront the looming threat and reclaim their home. Diane had breathed new life into their fight. The crowd was restless with nervous energy, buzzing with both doubt and hope. Sam faced everyone gathered, his heart racing. Today, we stand united, he declared, his voice strong. We're not just fighting for a diner. We're fighting for every smile, every memory that lives here. Maplewood is worth protecting. The crowd erupted in cheers, their collective spirit like a force of nature. Sam could feel the love and resilience flowing through them. With Diane leading the charge, they rallied a plan, to unveil the corporation's hidden tactics and share their stories, shining a harsh light on the shady practices threatening Maplewood's very soul. Clara and a group of local teens set up cameras, ready to capture their voices. Maria coordinated with the local school board, while Sam rounded up families to come forward. They were gathering a mountain of evidence, ready to expose the truth. As the sun climbed higher, illuminating the day, a feeling of urgency seeped into the crowd. The stakes felt higher than ever, yet strength replaced uncertainty. Sam's Diner had transformed from a mere establishment into a symbol of defiance against corporate greed. Sam, Diane said, joining him at the front. We need to confront that slick-haired man. He might not be the one calling the shots, but we need to show him that we won't back down. Sam nodded, the fire in him reigniting. Together, they moved as one block of hope, standing firm as they approached the construction crew still clustered around the trucks. The corporate man was there, clipboard in hand, looking baffled by the wave of determination crashing toward him. Today, we take back our town. Sam shouted, the crowd echoing his sentiment. The corporate man smirked at their boldness. You think a single rally will change anything? We're moving forward. Not without listening to us. Clara shot back, spurred by the fervor of their fight. We have a right to protect what is ours. The air thickened with the weight of collective defiance. They stood shoulder to shoulder, fear washed away by the commitment to what Maplewood represented. Diane stepped up, voice firm. You think you know our town? You think you can erase what we love? We're not just statistics or obstacles. We're families, friends, lives intertwined. Sam could feel the tension shift. He saw the flicker of doubt in the corporate man's eyes. Your profits won't mean a thing if you ruin the very fabric of this community, he pressed, feeling a lightness building inside him. We'll share our stories, our struggles. We will expose the truth. Cheers filled the space, voices blending into a powerful symphony, drowning out the doubts trying to creep back in. The slick-haired man faltered for a moment, uncertainty flashing across his features, but was it enough to sway him? Let us set up a meeting, he grumbled, his voice low, a hint of concern creeping through his bravado. Yes. Maria hollered from the crowd. A chance to collaborate. Let us talk about a way that everyone can benefit. Sam felt a rush of hope. A significant step toward achieving what they needed hung in the air. Maybe they could forge a path together, one built on partnership instead of destruction. The crowd was electric energy spinning wildly as they saw the cracks appearing in the corporate armor. We want to be part of the solution, Diane added, voice steady. This can be a project that honors our roots while still bringing progress. It was time for the tide to turn. They began to strategize to push deeper into their messaging, tapping into the heart of what Maplewood meant to its people. One by one, townsfolk stepped forward to share their stories. Their laughter and tears filled the air with poignant memories. This diner has been my safe space since I was a kid. An elder exclaimed. You can't take away our history. The higher-ups exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of their indifference began pressing on them. Sam could see it, the tides were shifting, and it was beautiful to witness. As stories continued to flow, one of the workers, energized by the connection he felt, finally spoke up. I didn't know it meant this much to you. I never had a connection to a town before. The crowd surged with excitement, as if they had punched a hole through the wall of resistance. I want to help you, not destroy, he stated, his voice steady now, a chorus of resolve wrapping around him. Sam's heart soared. The realization settled in his bones like a comforting warmth. They were creating a united front. And just then, clarity burst through. A fierce sense of purpose coursed through Maplewood. Hope had transformed into action. They were ready to fight for their future and legacy. As the day wound down, Sam felt the energy around him pulse like never before. Today wasn't a victory, but it was a step toward reclaiming something lost. In this small diner, they had turned fear into power, despair into awakening. And Sam knew, in that moment, they could change everything. It wasn't just a fight for a diner, it was a fight for their way of life. They had ignited a fire, one that would blaze through every challenge faced. As the sun set low in the sky, casting a hopeful golden glow over Maplewood, Sam knew this moment would forever be etched into the town's history, a moment where unity sparked hope, a moment where community took a stand. Together, Sam murmured to himself, standing shoulder to shoulder with those who mattered most. Together, they had faced the storm and emerged stronger than ever. He lifted his gaze to the sky, heart swelling with pride. They were just getting started. The journey ahead was filled with uncertainty, but with unity, they could weather any storm. Now it was time to act. It was time to share their message far and wide, to show the world that Maplewood stood united and proud. This was their awakening, their moment, and they wouldn't go quietly. They'd take back their town. And from that moment on, Sam felt the edges of hope curving into something tangible, something vibrant, a new tomorrow waiting to be built. Together, now, let us spread this story far and wide. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find their way through our community journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this thrilling ending. You are part of this narrative. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the power of support. Let's lift each other and our town together.